When you're presenting your business to a candidate, they're going to ask themselves mentally two questions. And how they answer those questions to themselves is going to determine how fast you're going to grow your team. Hey guys, Randy here. Welcome back to another episode of the Duplication Nation MLM podcast. If you're not a subscriber, you really need to do that. And you need to tell your team about it because this is the kind of content that can really help you grow your business. Let me turn off that bell so we're not interrupted. So I want to talk about launching with velocity. Two part of this equation. One is you want to launch with as much speed as you can when you begin. And then, of course, the second part is you want to set that culture so that the people you bring in, they launch fast, and the people they bring in launch fast, and on and on and on. And we get true duplication. So it all begins with those first two questions that candidates are asking, and they're not even doing it on a on a conscious basis. It's just happening subconscious. They want to know, first of all, which I think is pretty conscious, which is, do I like what I see? Does this look like a good deal? Does this look like fun? Does this look like it's profitable and advisable and a good decision for me to make? And of course, we've got a gazillion other videos in this podcast and the YouTube channel, and of course, the audio versions on the podcast platforms about how to make sure you're making the most compelling presentations, presenting your business in a way that they see, wow, this could be a great thing for me. And I really believe that, right? Of all the side gig opportunities out there, I believe we have the finest one, the one where people without big connections, without a lot of money, without a higher education, you can come in and build as big as you want. You pick your hours, you choose the people you work with, incredible travel opportunities, great tax benefits in a lot of countries. But of course, the biggest ones are it's unlimited income potential. The only throttle, the only regulator on your business is how big is your dream. And más importante, you become successful by helping other people reach success. And that's something you just don't get that many places. It's, in fact, the opposite in the corporate world and most business environments. So we have something special here, and you want to make sure you're presenting it in the best, most compelling way. The other question that your candidates are running through their mind, and this is the subconscious one, is they're saying, can I do this? Or flavors of this? Are they going to help me do this? Is there a system I can follow to do this? Will I be effective if I attempt this? Is this going to work for me? And that's the question that you can influence the answer greatly with some ways of doing the business. And that's really the theme of this particular episode, is how you do this so that you can launch with velocity and your people can launch with velocity. Let's begin like we frequently do with, well, hey, what's the formula for duplication? We inspire a large group of people to perform a few simple actions over a sustained period of time. We have to always gravitate back to that formula, because if we don't bring in enough people, we won't get traction. And if we make it too complex, if there's too many steps, if the actions are too complicated, we're not going to adhere to the formula. And we got to persevere. We got to stay with it and create the timeline that we're looking for. The other thing I'd like to revisit that we talk about frequently here is the parachute skills. These are the skills that I named them this because you should, once you become proficient, just minimally proficient in these skill sets, you will be able to provide for yourself and your family anywhere in the world. We could parachute you in to any free market economy. Even if you didn't speak the language, you could build a sizable business if you know the parachute skills. How to meet people, working a candidate list, making compelling invitations, using tools, effective tools for presentations, and then the follow-up skills. So this is kind of the difference between the amateurs and the professionals. The amateurs say, well, I'm just not good at inviting, or I don't know that many people, and they're just talking themselves out of the business. A professional who understands, hey, this is my profession. I've chosen this as my profession, and there are skills I need to be effective in, and I can learn those skills. And of course, the driving one for all this is going to be meeting people. How to meet people online and offline on a steady stream of candidates coming through your candidate pathway or your candidate funnel or whatever term we want to use for that. So how do you do that effectively and launch with less velocity? Some principles we got to follow. The first one I want to talk about now is the using external source tools. A video, a flip chart, a PowerPoint, a catalog. When you use a tool, this is how in that question that's going through their mind, which is, can I do this? This is where you get the positive answer to that question. And I want to talk to you guys in the nutrition companies and the wellness companies. You're the guilty parties. And I know because I used to be one. Okay. I learned all this amazing knowledge about my products. And I'm a health conscious guy. I, have eat healthy and exercise, and I don't want to spend time in the hospital, and I want to be able to do sports and recreation at an enjoyable level without pain. I want to be fit and flexible. So I have gravitated to wellness companies all my life. And of course, I study wellness stuff all the time, and data and research and studies, and what products are working, what ingredients are people discovering, how they work. And so I became one of those people where I could do this amazing 90-minute presentation on why you should join my business. And it worked. I enrolled a lot of people, but it didn't duplicate. So even though this is the thing you got to understand, this is one of those $1 million nuggets. The fact that you can recruit quickly and effectively does not guarantee a solid long-term business. Because we've had hundreds of thousands of people who have entered our profession who were great sales types, had incredible presentation or selling skills, and they were able to bring in a lot of people quickly. But those people can't replicate the process. And by the way, you don't have to be in a wellness company to fall prey to this. Some of you in other companies have fallen prey to this because of your comp plan. And you've become the world's preeminent expert on your company's compensation plan. And you can do a 90-minute presentation on every percentage, on every level of the infinity bonus, and the slang, the jargon, the stuff that for a candidate, their eyes just glaze over. You're putting them into a coma. So I make this joke all the time, but it's important. If you're in front of a candidate, if your lips are moving, you better be pointing to a tool. The next principle is one about meeting people, and that's the one of shared experiences. And I talked about this a lot in earlier episodes, particularly, and by the way, if you did not watch the episode or listen to the episode, digital duplication, make sure to go back and review that one. But the example here is just put yourself in situations of shared experience. I have made millions of dollars because I joined softball leagues and met people there and went to tournaments and were on teams and played against teams and found a way to meet people that was very non-threatening for me. Tonight, as I'm recording this, I will be with my BFF Flacco, and we will be at the first premiere showing of Dune Part 2. Okay? I can tell you, when we're in line with it, we will have a shared experience with everybody in line. We will all be sci-fi geeks. We will be Frank Herbert geeks, Denis Villeneuve geeks, Timothée Chalamet fans, Zendaya fans. I mean, we will all have this thing in common, and we'll meet people, and it's non-threatening. And so one of the things you learn once you become a professional is, hey, this skill of meeting people is really important, and I need to find ways to do this that are non-threatening for the people who are introverts. And this principle of shared experience, you know, if you are walking down the street wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey and somebody's walking the other way with a Cowboys hat, you're going to have a conversation. If you're pushing a baby stroller and someone is coming the other way, pushing a baby stroller, I guarantee you're going to have a conversation. So look for that. Have a mantra. When I started out, my mantra was 2 people a day bring freedom my way. I wanted to meet 2 new people every day. You don't have to recruit them. You don't have to pitch them. You just got to meet them and then see where it goes, migrate them to your candidate list. Really learn how to work that candidate list. That's another skill. Make sure this is part of your new candidate, or I'm sorry, your new distributor orientation. If you need help on that, review my book, Direct Selling Success. That's my whole generic A to Z how to do the business system, step-by-step, duplicable system. And I spent a lot of time in that book on the 5 parachute skills. So how to meet people, how to work the candidate list, so you can really get proficient in these quickly. And when you do that, it really makes a difference. 2 more things. These are going to be the big things. If you really want to launch with velocity, do the major blast protocol that I have in that book, which is you just get your invitations out to 65 or 85 or 100 people in your first 10 days, max 2 weeks in the business. Forget the old model of I'll talk to 5 people, I'll sponsor 2, then I will work down in depth with those 2 for 90 days or 120 days. And believe me, I used to advocate that. I used to build that way. We don't have to do that anymore. We have technology. We have systems. I've spent 4 decades perfecting that system that I write about in that book. So you can automate, you can systematize, and you can scale. So you can send, I create a template email for friends and I send it out to 30 or 40 of them. I create a template messenger app for WhatsApp or Telegram or Signal, and I send it out to 30 or 40 people. I got a killer invitation for when I talk personally with someone on the phone, when I meet them personally in person, to get them in front of a presentation. I have intrigue posts that I put on social media to get people to DM me so I can have that conversation. So I get the message out to 100. Like last time I launched was probably 120 people that I put out invitations to in a less than 2 week period. And I end up sponsoring 12 or 14 or something like that. And you say, well, how do you keep up with all those people? It won't work. It's fake news. Right? There's too many people who say, well, that's the problem. If I sponsor too many people, I won't be able to work with them and teach them and train them, and things are going to collapse. It sounds good. It looks good. It looks good on paper. The reality is it's the opposite. The number of people who fail in network marketing because they sponsor too many people, I've done extensive research on this. I have done a survey of the last 3 million people who joined network marketing and failed over the years, and exactly 1.1169% of them, that's a joke, were because they sponsored too many people. Of the people who failed, of those 3 million people, the percentage of them who failed because they didn't sponsor enough people initially, they didn't get some mojo, some momentum going, is 87.429%. So please adjust your core foundational belief on this. Trust me, I've done the work. I've got the receipts. I'm not giving you some abstract theory or some shit I read in a book. This is my experience being in the field for more than 4 decades, making millions and millions of dollars, building teams of 200,000 people. The biggest mistake people make is they don't sponsor enough people. And that kind of leads me to the last point, which is the other part beside the major blast is just adopting this philosophy of, hey, I will be a continuous enroller. Because of social media, because of technology, because I can learn this, how to meet people skill so readily, because I have systems and I can automate and systematize and scale, I could enroll 4 or 5 or 7 people every month. And you could do that for a few years and never run out of people to meet and never run out of people to enroll. And maybe get to a point where at some point, when you have 100,000 people on your team, 150,000, you may say, hey, Kay, I have to reduce my enrolling because I'm managing the network. I'm doing 7 or 10 major events a year because I have an international team, and I'm doing 3 in North America and 3 in Europe and 3 in Asia, and I'm running the team website and the training events and, you know, the infrastructure. You could get to a point where then it doesn't make sense for you to be enrolling 5 or 6 people a month because you really don't have the time to be as much the one-on-one attention that early people need. But that's so overblown. And people are thinking that they're at that point when they've got 42 people on their team or 312 people on their team. No, you won't get to that point until your team is in the tens or even hundreds of thousands. So please, again, change the premise, adopt the core foundational belief, which is, hey, I need to launch with a major blast, and I need to be a continuous enrolling machine, model the behavior, set the example for my team, always be bringing new blood into the system, into the team. So 4 or 5 or 8 people every month I'm putting in. If you follow this guidance, I promise you, you will launch with velocity and you will bring in people who also launch with velocity. All right, last thought, and then I'm going to get you out of here. It's ironic, but true. It is easier to build the business fast than it is to build it slow. And the faster you build it initially, the easier it becomes. Because of this dynamic of human nature, that people like to follow people who are going places. People like to do things with people who are doing things. People like to be associated with positive, growing people who are in motion. It just creates a momentum. It's for you guys in sports, you know how mojo works. Guy leads off the inning in the baseball game. He smokes a double. Next guy comes up. He replaces him on second. He scores him with a double. Next guy gets a hit. Bam. It's just contagious. People get, the mojo of the game or the match changes and the energy drives it through. Same thing happens in our profession. They pull out their phone, they look in their back office, they see how many people have joined the team since the last time they checked in. They get on a live stream or they go to a live major event and they see all these new people. They see other people who are building. It's infectious. Recruiting is contagious. And in softball, baseball, we always say hitting is contagious. I'm going to adapt it to our profession. Recruiting is contagious. So if you follow through with this, I promise you, you'll build that culture and you will have a team growing with true velocity. All right, you know what to do next. That means you should pick up the phone right now and make some contacts and invite some people to a presentation. All right, go out and have an amazing day. Love you guys. Peace.